Everybody knows what positive reinforcement is when it comes to dog training, but a lot of people tend to stray away from talking about negative punishment and negative reinforcement, and I believe that it's because the tools used to apply these techniques have a huge misconception surrounding them, and unfortunately a lot of people who have used them improperly and irresponsibly. So today we're going to be going over a couple of training tools. We're going to be talking about slip leads, prong collars, and e-collars. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I have owned a Cane Corso for almost 3 years now. His name is Dante, and I also own another Cane Corso, this one right here. Her name is Peach, and she is 7 months old. I decided to make this video because I have gotten a couple of requests from you guys asking for a more detailed explanation. So I just thought that I would make a video speaking about each one of these tools, sharing the pros and the cons, and giving a general overview about all of them. Before we get started, I want to really stress that these tools are not meant to be used on dogs that are not trained. They're not meant to be used on dogs that don't know what is expected of them. They're not meant to be used on a dog that doesn't know how to heel. They're not a cure-all for behavior modification. So I just really want you guys to understand that for you to use these tools properly, there has to be a deeper understanding and there has to be clear communication between you and your dog. It's not like you're going to put on a prong collar on a dog that has no idea how to heel, and as soon as you put the prong collar, they're just going to be perfect. That's not the case. That's not how you properly use them. Before I get any comments or anybody that's going to be like,
I love how people just listen to these amateur dog owners that have only owned a dog for 2 years and all of a sudden she thinks she's an expert. Oh.
I am not a dog trainer. I'm not a professional dog trainer. I am just sharing based on my personal experience from training my dog, from training my Cane Corso, both of them. I am sharing from my personal experience with speaking to Dante's trainer, working with Dante's trainer. What I'm sharing is based on my personal experience. So right off the bat, slip leads, prong collars, and e-collars all have the same principle to them, and that is to provide correction for your dog for an unwanted behavior. So the dog is supposed to associate discomfort with, I need to stop doing this behavior. For example, if I'm on a walk with Peach and she starts pulling, I'll give her a correction with the slip lead, for example, and she will associate, hey, this feels uncomfortable. When I pull, it's uncomfortable, so I'm gonna stop pulling. That is the message that you want to send across to your dog when using these tools. Just how they apply the same basic principle to provide correction for your dog for an unwanted behavior, they also need to be positioned on your dog's neck correctly. So you don't want to have the slip lead, prong collar, e-collar just hanging like a necklace. You don't want it to be in the middle of your dog's neck because that's where their vocal cords are. They need to be positioned high up on their head. I'll show a little clip of where they're supposed to be. And that is the correct position for the slip lead, prong collar, e-collar, whatever, because that's where you'll have the most control of your dog's head. All right, so let's move on. First thing we're going to talk about is the slip lead. The slip lead works the same way as all the other tools do. Just to demonstrate here, for example, if Peach were to pull, this would immediately tighten up, and that would help her associate that pulling equals discomfort, so she needs to stop pulling. Now, that is how the slip lead works. So let's talk about the pros. The slip lead is fairly inexpensive. It is $20, $25 at most. You can find it almost anywhere. You can find it online, any pet store, and it's very easy to get by. They're inexpensive. The slip lead is great because it gives you a lot of control of your dog's head when you're going on walks. The slip lead in comparison to an e-collar or prong collar looks less aggressive. It is also very easy to put on your dog. That is another pro for it. Now, a con for the slip lead is that just as easily as it is to put on, you constantly need to adjust it. I found that if I'm going on a walk with Peach, I find myself constantly having to adjust the position of the slip lead because it needs to be in the correct position. So it easily slips off. So that is a con for the slip lead. Okay, moving on to the next tool, prong collar. Now, the prong collar is also a great tool to use to provide correction to your dog. It's actually a very common tool for a lot of working breed dogs. Prong collars work the same way as a slip lead. Your dog pulls it tightens on their neck and they feel discomfort and they associate that discomfort with the behavior that they're doing, so they stop doing that unwanted behavior. They are not painful. They don't puncture your dog. That's all a huge myth. When used properly, they are a great way to correct your dog for unwanted behavior. Same as before, same as the slip lead. It needs to be in the correct location of the dog's neck. It can't be hanging out here, can't be over here, can't be on the side, can't be on the shoulder. I can't tell you how many times I get messages from you guys saying, hey, my dog isn't listening to me. He's on the prong collar, but he's pulling so much on the walks. I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. And it's not until I ask for pictures of what the dog is wearing or where the dog is that I realize that the prong collar is not in the correct location. If it's not in the correct location, it's not going to work. So it's very, very, very important that the placement is correct, so that you are training your dog properly. Pros is that it's also fairly inexpensive to get. You can find them anywhere, easy to find. Same thing as the slip lead, it gives you control of your dog's head so that you are able to just have overall better control of them when you're on walks, or God forbid, if there is any situation that you need to hold your dog back, they're great for that. In comparison to the slip lead, they do have a better grip, so you don't need to be constantly adjusting the position of the prong collar when you guys are training. So it is better than the slip lead in that aspect. Now, the prong collar is also very easy to adjust. If you purchase a prong collar, you'll probably get a pretty large one. It comes in with links, with chain links, so you can easily, for example, this is the size that I have for Dante, but if I wanted to use this on Peach, I would just need to remove some of these links and it'll fit around her head and it'll be very seamless and easy. So it is a very easily adjustable and it'll stay in place. Let's talk about the cons for the prong collar. The prong collar looks intimidating, so don't be surprised if you use a prong collar and you just get looks from people. There's just a lot of very bad stereotypes around the prong collar. Unfortunately, like in all things, there are people who have used it improperly and they just leave it on their dogs when they're outside. A prong collar and any of these tools are not meant to be used when your dog is unsupervised. I've actually seen, I've seen like videos of people just having, or like these huge massive dogs outside on a chain with a prong collar on. So they're like by themselves. If they walk a little bit too far, they can hurt themselves. So none of these tools are meant to be used without supervision. They're not meant to be used unless you are training your dogs. They're not meant to be used around the house. They're not meant to be used without your supervision. That's not how it works. So unfortunately, I think that the prong collar is one of the most popular tools that has a very bad misconception surrounding it, because people just leave these things on their dogs. They don't change, they don't adjust the size of it, so the dog grows and then it just stays on their necks, and it's just irresponsible, and that's how some people have used it, and that's why they have a very bad reputation. So that is the stereotype that surrounds it, and that is the reason why people might look at you funny if you use a prong collar. So that is one of the cons. Now let's move on to e-collars. The dreaded e-collar. A lot of people feel very strongly about this, so let's just get this out of the way. No, the e-collar is not going to shoot out sparks when you use it. It's not meant to incapacitate your dog. It's not like a taser. That is far from reality. Not true at all. That's just not true. And I feel like that people who do think these things about e-collars just really don't know what they're talking about. They just don't know. They haven't had a dog that they've used an e-collar on, that they've trained an e-collar on. They're just going by what they've heard. They're going by, oh, it's electric, oh, it's shock. And they're not really thinking about any of the principles that are applied. So none of those things are true. The e-collar actually feels like a tingling sensation. How do I know, Michelle, you ask? Well, because I've tried the e-collar on myself, and I actually don't feel a sensation until I get to a certain point. So just to give you guys a little bit of context, with the e-collar, you have the ability to give your dog a lower correction or a higher correction. So from a scale from 1 to 100, I don't feel anything at 25. My husband doesn't feel anything at 50, and it just differs from person to person. And when you start feeling something, it is a slight tingle. Let's talk about the pros. So one of the things that I personally like about the e-collar is that it takes away the physical aspect of correcting your dog. With the slip lead and with the prong collar, you need to give a pull, you need to tug on your dog. And with the e-collar, it eliminates that completely. So that's one of the things that I would consider a pro for the e-collar. Another thing that is a pro is that the correction that you can give your dog is adjustable. As I explained before, you can give your dog a lower correction or you can give your dog a higher correction depending on the situation. For example, if I'm on a walk with Dante, he's on the e-collar, he's heeling, he gets distracted, starts pulling a little bit, I'll just give him a quick correction, a lower correction, as opposed to, and this is based on a true story, we were at a gathering with a bunch of people. Dante was asleep next to me. He was with my sister, with me, with my brother, Leo, a dog that he knows very well, so practically his whole posse. And we were in a room full of people that he didn't know. He was asleep. Somebody, grown man, I don't know why, I think something fell on the floor and they literally surfed the floor, jumped in front of me, in front of my brother, in front of everybody. And Dante woke up. He was obviously spooked. So the first thing that he did was bark. And he didn't bark like, oh, hey, how are you? He barked because he got spooked and he thought that we were in danger. So in that situation, I needed to give Dante a higher correction to be like, hey, snap out of it. It's okay. You don't need to be acting like this. So that is something that is also a pro for the e-collar because you are able to adjust the level of correction on your dog, as opposed to a prong collar or a slip lead in which you would have to use your physical strength to do so. Another pro for the e-collar is that you have overall more control of your dog because the correction is immediate. So when your dog does an unwanted behavior, you need to correct them immediately. You literally have less than 5 seconds to correct your dog. If you do it for any longer than that, if you pass the 5-second mark, you confuse your dog. They don't know what they did wrong. So the correction needs to be immediate for your dog to know that they did something that was unwanted. And with the e-collar, it is immediate. On the e-collar, if your dog starts pulling or does something that is not correct, you literally just click a button. You click a button and the correction is immediate. So it's clear, it helps you have clear communication with your dog, and you overall have more control of your dog. Another benefit from using an e-collar as a training tool is that you are able to practice off-leash training. This is great because they're technically leashed. It allows for off-leash training to be way easier and safer. A con is, again, the huge stereotype behind it because of people who have used it improperly, because of people who have never probably owned a large breed dog or a working breed dog. There's just a huge misconception around the e-collar. A lot of people think it's cruel. A lot of people think it's inhumane, but I honestly think that, as I said before, it comes from a place of people not knowing how it is used in training. So if you have a dog and you're training them with an e-collar, it's expected for people, again, just like the prong collar, to look at you funny, criticize you for it, and it's just something that is part of it. So that is another con for the e-collar. Now that we've gone over all of these tools, I wanted to stress again that none of these tools are meant to be used on a dog that's not trained. If your dog doesn't know how to heel, if your dog doesn't have a basic obedience foundation, if you don't have that relationship with your dog, these tools are not going to benefit you. They're not going to help you. You have to know how to train your dog. Your dog has to know what's expected, and that is when you can start to apply correction. For example, when Peach and Dante were younger, we didn't use any of these tools because they were puppies, they were eager to learn, treats was enough for them, they were learning new things, they didn't know how to sit, they didn't know how to hold down, they didn't know how to heel. So there was no need for these tools. But as they got older, and as they get more confident, and as they get stronger, and as they try to constantly challenge you, you need to start to apply correction, or else they are literally going to walk all over you. They're going to run your house. So you need to be able to know both sides of the coin. You need to have a balanced type of training for your dog. Positive reinforcement alone does not work. It just doesn't work. And trust me when I tell you, because that is the route that we tried to go with Dante initially, and it doesn't work. These dogs need to have clear communication, and they need to understand when they did something that is unacceptable. You can't have a misbehaved large breed dog. Dante and Peach, any of these dogs already look scary. So if they misbehave, it's a way bigger deal as opposed to a Chihuahua misbehaving. So as a responsible owner, you need to be able to know how to give your dog correction. And that is something that is really important, and I think that it's something that more people should know, because a lot of people might end up getting a dog like a Cane Corso, a working breed dog, or any dog that is very strong-willed, and they'll just find themselves completely frustrated trying to train them through positive reinforcement only, and then ending up having a dog that just owns you. None of these tools should be used violently. They shouldn't be used out of anger. They shouldn't be used out of impatience. Dogs don't respond well to that. It needs to be mutual respect. That is why you hear people always talking about consistency and being calm when you're dealing with a dog like this. They feed off of your energy. If you're angry, they feel that, and they're not going to respond well to however you're training them. So when you're using these tools, you need to be calm. They should never be used in anger. And when I say in anger, it's because when you're angry, you're not thinking straight, so you're going to be doing things that don't make sense, and you're going to be sending mixed signals to your dog. So they should never be used with that kind of mindset. Another thing, none of these tools are going to stop a Cane Corso from doing anything. What I mean by that is that if Dante really wanted to go attack somebody, if Dante really wanted to do that, he would be able to. His adrenaline would kick in, prong collar out the window, slip lead out the window, e-collar out the window. None of these tools are going to be able to hold your dog back. So the whole thing about using these tools means that the owner is lazy, or the owner doesn't train their dog properly. It's not true. It's not true at all. None of these tools would be able to hold your dog back if they really wanted to go and attack somebody, which is why it's important that you train your dog and you have a foundation before introducing these tools. As I mentioned before, a lot of the arguments that come with any of these training tools is that they're inhumane, that they're cruel, that they're unnecessary. But a lot of times you hear those arguments from people who only train with positive reinforcement. Now, positive reinforcement works for some breeds, but not all breeds. And here in the US, dog training is an unregulated profession, meaning that anybody can do dog training. So you're always going to hear a bunch of mixed messages. But what I strongly believe is that you need to train your dog, at least a working breed dog, in a balanced situation. They need that. They need you to be a balanced leader. They need you to be a balanced owner. Another thing that I want you guys to know is that not all of these tools are going to work for every dog. Some breeds don't respond well to this. I know that hunting breeds respond very well to the e-collar. If you think about it, they have a really high drive, so it helps for them to have something that redirects their attention. That's something that is very helpful in that situation, and they benefit a lot from that. Same thing from working breed dogs. I'm sure that within the working breed dogs, it can differ. I'm sure every dog is different, but at least for Dante, who is a very strong-willed dog who needs structure, the e-collar works very well for him. Basically, what I'm trying to say is find what works best for your dog, Maybe the one that your dog's going to respond the best to is the slip lead. Maybe it's going to be the prong collar. Maybe it's going to be the e-collar. Don't think about these tools as tools depending on the severity of your dog's behavior. Don't think of them as ways of an escalation. Don't think that, oh, the e-collar is for the worst kind of dogs. The slip lead is for the most gentle dogs. That's not the case. That's not how it works. It really just depends on the dog. It depends on the dog, and you know your dog best, so keep that in mind. So that concludes this video. I hope that you guys found it helpful. Honestly, I really enjoy doing videos like this, and I just, wanted to clarify that YouTube is not my full-time job. I have gotten the impression that some of you guys think it is based on the conversations and our back and forth that we've had. As much as I would like for it to be, it's not. The only reason I'm really doing these videos is because I love to share what's going on. I've learned a lot from owning Dante. I've learned a lot from mistakes that I've made before in training Dante, and I want to be very open with you guys and share that with you guys so that more people have an awareness. I'm just doing this because I'm passionate about it. I want to share all of the experiences that owning a Corso entails and all of the struggles that that you have to go through, and I just want to help dog owners be held accountable for their dog's behavior, because your dogs have nothing to do with anything. They literally feed off of you. You're their owner, you're responsible for them, and you're the one who's going to make them a good dog. So I want that message to be very clear, and I want to continue to make videos like this. It has gotten a little bit overwhelming answering all of your questions through Instagram, so the best way that you guys can help our channel and help us grow and help us continue is by subscribing to our channel, by sharing, by leaving comments. That is something that helps us tremendously, and I would really appreciate if you guys could do that. I want to be able to share all of this information without there being a paywall. I really do put a lot of effort in preparing these videos. I never say things on the fly. It takes weeks to prepare a video, it takes weeks to outline a video, to take notes, to do my own research, and then on top of that, getting the footage and then editing everything. It's really a labor of love. So I would really appreciate if you guys could subscribe and continue to share our content. I'm extremely grateful for you guys. I started to consistently post, I believe, back in February of this year. Before that, created the YouTube channel probably a year ago, and that's when we started posting. We weren't doing things as consistently, but since February I have been trying to post at least once a week. So thank you so much for everything. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for all of your support. I really appreciate you guys. Dante and Peach love you guys. We never thought that when I made the YouTube channel, I was like, okay, maybe we'll get like 10 subscribers. I never expected for it to be almost 8,000. So thank you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found this helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram. Thanks for watching. Bye.